We got breaking news tonight. Right off the bat, right before we went live tonight. We're going to tell you about that in just a minute. Coming down from the Supreme Court regarding the powers of the presidency to deport the illegal immigrants. It is a huge, huge ruling. Plus, we're going to talk about the tariffs. We're going to break it down in depth and ask the question, could this possibly push some rogue nations, maybe even like China, to the edge to maybe invade Taiwan and start World War III? A lot of stuff's going on in the world we got to talk about. Let's go. Here we go. Come on. All right, now we're going to bring in the queen. What's up? How's it going?
It's another hot Monday here.
Another hot Monday.
Yeah. It's actually not hot. It's actually kind of cold outside.
Yeah, it got a little cooler.
You get the meaning, folks.
All right, so look, let's go right into this because you came in here and
Yes,
you did a breaking news with me and told me about this. I was in here working. I didn't know anything about it. Y'all, this is huge. This is coming down right now, breaking. In case you haven't heard this, the Supreme Court just a few minutes ago, right before we went live, this came down. Huge win. Supreme Court vacates Judge Boasberg's order barring Trump from deporting Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. You remember he was using a rule that was made during the Civil War to remove people that when you thought they were enemies of the state or we had been invaded. And this guy right here just took it upon himself to stop that. But on an unsigned order, the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday vacated Judge Boasberg's orders barring the Trump administration's removal of Venezuelan gang members under the Aliens Enemies Act. Last month, Judge Boasberg granted a temporary restraining order to stop the Trump administration from deporting thousands of Venezuelan nationals under the Aliens Enemies Act. Far-left American-hating leftist groups such as the ACLU, Democracy Forward, rushed to a D.C. court in a desperate bid to shield dangerous illegal aliens from deportation. The High Court said Boasberg did not have jurisdiction. The Supreme Court, however, said the administration must give reasonable notice for gang members to challenge their deportations in court. Now, listen to this. This is very disappointing in this particular judge. We should have known that they were probably going to turn on Trump. But watch this. 5 Supreme Court justices, Roberts, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Thomas, and Alito, were in favor of vacating Boasberg's orders. The 3 liberal judges, Kagan, Jackson, and Sotomayor, dissented, and quote-unquote, air quotes, conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett dissented in part.
Right.
So she sided with the liberals. And, of course, you know, if you remember the night that he gave his speech to the joint session, there's a meme going out there where the way she cut her eyes at him, there's something going on there with her.
Wow. And
she has turned completely, just looks like on Trump. The bottom line is it came down to 5-4 decision. It has been overturned, and it is more than just these guys that were put in the Venezuelan gang members that was taken to the jail. This solidifies Donald Trump's ability to use the Aliens Enemies Act to deport illegal aliens.
Did it say how many total have been already?
Well, it was this was the first batch that was taken. It was stopped after that until this order. So I can't remember. It doesn't say how many was in that. But that first batch,
hundreds at least,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, we saw the plane land and we saw them put them in there. That group is the group that was held up after this ruling. But I say that's a huge win for those that believe in a border and that believe in protecting Americans.
Definitely.
All right, so we got a lot to cover tonight.
Next up, busy day.
Busy day, and a lot of it's going to be dealing with, of course, tariffs, because April 2nd, 5 days ago, was what's the so-called Liberation Day, according to Donald Trump. These were the tariffs, and keep in mind, before we break all this down here tonight, it's breaking even as we speak. So if anybody gets a new thing in the live chat, we'll try to keep an eye on that. But there has never been, and think about this, there has never been a country and a president of any country ever do what Donald Trump is doing. I heard it broke down today. There has always been specific countries that were dealt with in tariffs. There has never been a nation, a policy, or a president that did a sweeping executive order to apply tariffs in situations of tariffs on the world. That is what has got them so messed up.
But at the same time, how many have come back and said, "Hey, yeah, we're ready to deal. We want to come to the table."
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So it's over 50. In fact, right before I came in here, I heard one guy say that almost every nation has reached out. Almost every nation that's on that list has reached out. But this is Breitbart is reporting that Trump is digging in. Let me do something real quick. Just this before we go any further tonight. Move this down a little bit. All right, so it says Trump is digging in and, digging his heels in as global markets keep dropping over tariffs. Now, this was this morning. This morning we woke up, it plummeted. It was, I think it got down to like 1,400 down the Dow.
At least 12.
Okay.
Maybe 14, but I know I saw 12.
Okay. President Donald Trump is remaining defiant as global markets continue to plunge after his tariff announcements last week. Trump digs in his heels as the global markets keep dropping over tariffs. It says President Donald Trump remained defiant on Monday as the global markets continue plunging. He said other countries have been taking advantage of the good old USA in a post on Truth Social, his social media platform. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this, and so much else has to happen to our country. Trump has insisted his tariffs are necessary to rebalance global trade and rebuild domestic manufacturing. He has singled out China as the biggest abuser of them all and criticized Beijing for increasing its own tariffs in retaliation. Mm-hmm. Now, I got a lot to cover, got a lot of different articles to cover, but your initial thoughts on, it looks like he's not backing down.
Yeah, it appears that way right now. So, but we're early. I mean, this is early.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot has already happened in such a short period of time. But hey, we all knew China is going to be the biggest one. And, if Xi wants to dig his heels in and Donald Trump has dug his heels in, well, I guess we're going to see what's going to happen.
But the truth is, here's the bottom line truth. When you really get right down to it, China needs America more than America needs China. Even though we got all this made in China stuff, I understand that. And so much, even from our medicine to everything else that comes from China. Yes. But what Donald Trump is saying, ultimately, we get all that from them, but this is going to force companies to make that again in America again. But China can't do that on some levels. China needs America and needs America to buy.
Exactly.
We've propped them up.
Not only have we propped them up, but how many factories did we just send around the world? I mean, probably to China, but some to China. But man, when he said we're going to have to take some medicine,
he did.
I don't know how many people were listening
he sure did.
Really processed because if China wants to slow down sending us all of these wonderful things that we have become so accustomed to having access to, like you said, so much of our medicines are produced there and sent. This could potentially get really uncomfortable for us. So,
well, speaking of China, let's dig into China. Trump threatens China with an additional 50% tariff.
This is getting crazy, right?
This is getting crazy.
It's already up to like 54% or threatened 54%.
Yeah, well, he tacked on whatever the original one was. He tacked on 30-something percent. And then China come back and they thought they was so big and bad. They said, well, you know what? We're gonna just offset that, put another 30-something percent, rebut what you did on top of what we was already charging. And Trump went ballistic. And he said, you know what? I'm gonna put another 50% tariff for imposing those retaliatory tariffs. Let's see what he says here. He's threatening China with an additional 50% tariff in response to President Xi Jinping's announcement that the communist country would impose retaliatory tariffs on the United States. Last week, during a speech in the Rose Garden, Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on countries that have historically imposed high tariffs on the United States. Among those countries is China, which Trump slapped a 34% tariff on it, in addition to the tariffs that have been in place on China since Trump's first term that former President Joe Biden did not end. In response to the reciprocal tariffs, China announced a retaliatory tariff of 34% on U.S. goods, basically trying to just offset it. Now Trump says if the tariffs against the United States are not withdrawn, China will face an additional 50% tariff. Quote, yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 34% on top of the already record-setting tariffs, non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation. Despite the warning that any country that retaliates against the U.S. by issuing additional tariffs above and beyond their already existing long-term tariffs, abuse of our nation will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs over and above those initially set. So basically, you're talking about 84% tariff. He's saying he's going to put on China if China doesn't take that 34% back. I mean, that's almost that's pushing 100%.
Where does this go from here? Okay. He win out? I mean, like you said, they are very dependent upon us, but what is going to happen? I mean, this is getting crazy.
It's getting crazy. And y'all come on. You know what he's doing. He's going wide open, then he's going to negotiate. These countries are going to want, and there already are. We're going to show you that in just a moment, that there is 50 early today and now upwards of 60 and 70 countries from around the world have already reached out. Many of them have already said, we're zeroing out. We're going 0 to 0. I mean, the bottom line is none of those calls would have ever been made if he wouldn't have done this. Yes. Nobody's ever caused these countries to do this.
No.
It would have never happened. We would have continued to be taken advantage of.
Exactly. Just continuing the crazy patterns, things that don't make sense. Just, common sense was just not even considered. But it's been very different in this administration, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm seeing that, Sue, what you said about share. I don't understand I don't know anything about why somebody wouldn't be able to get into the chat. Maybe she can refresh. Maybe she got logged out. If you got logged out, make sure you're logged in. I don't know if that's going to require you to be in the chat. Sorry about that, Share, if you're watching this. But look, this goes on to say, a 2018 report from the Economic Policy Institute found that the U.S. trade deficit with China between 2001 and 17 eliminated American jobs in all 50 states and in every single congressional district across the country. A loss of 3.4 million American jobs. Goes on to say the vast majority of those jobs lost to China were in the manufacturing sector, making up 74.4% of all the jobs lost and amounting to 2.5 million American manufacturing jobs lost. This total includes the 1.3 million American jobs lost since 2008. So this article lays out what this unfair advantage that China has had over us.
Sure.
The jobs, the real jobs.
I know. And you were talking a few minutes ago about, let's return some of this manufacturing to America. Let's get back to made in America. And that sounds great. And I hope we can do that. But how realistic is that? If places have been shut down or they've just been done away with or sold to other companies who are completely doing something different there, you've got to start from zero.
Yeah.
How fast can they get that up if that's even a real possibility?
Yeah, but they got so much money. And I understand.
And I know that the car companies are coming here because, but I'm talking about
I get it.
American manufacturers coming back and beginning to manufacture things.
Well, I think that's what he's talking about. He was talking about taking the medicine because it's going to hurt for a little while. And bottom line is this: the companies, they don't want to go out of business, so they're like, okay, we're going to have to spend some money fast to make this happen. Yeah. And when people start seeing that they don't get what they think they should get, that they're supposed to get, then they're going to start demanding for this stuff to happen. Right now, we're just spoiled brats.
We are.
We're just spoiled rotten. We're just used. And by the way, we're getting fed stuff that's unhealthy, that's killing us, that we are being manipulated. Yes. We are being invaded by our southern border by someone who owns property, owns cattle, owns farmland, owns buildings, owns cities, and has the ability to turn a switch off on us. And we got one guy the whole world hates right now that's just saying, wait a minute, if I got to go down, I'm going to go down. But if I go down, I'm going to go down fighting for this country.
Yes.
And that's what's happening here. Yeah. He's not the savior of the world, but let me just tell you something. The bottom line is this. Nobody would have ever got these countries to come back and negotiate
I believe
except Donald Trump.
I believe that. Man, he is a disruptor, but hopefully it will turn out good.
Yeah. Well, look what happened today. Netanyahu was in Washington, D.C. today.
Right.
And I covered it live here. If you watched it, you could watch the whole thing live here. You can go back and watch the replay of it. But watch this. Netanyahu announced in the Oval Office today that he is totally eliminating the entire trade deficit between Israel and the United States, in addition to zeroing out all tariffs from the country. Let's listen to what he had to say.
To also eliminate, first, if I can mention tariffs, it's a subject of some interest today. I can tell you that I said to the president a very simple thing. We will eliminate the trade deficit with the United States. We intend to do it very quickly. We think it's the right thing to do. And we're going to also eliminate trade barriers, a variety of trade barriers that have been put up unnecessarily. And I think Israel can serve as a model for many countries who ought to do the same. I recognize the position of the United States. It says, we're allowing other countries to put tariffs on us, but we don't put tariffs on them. And, I'm a free trade champion, and free trade has to be fair trade. And I think that's basically the position that you have put forward, Mr. President. We are going to eliminate the tariffs, and rapidly. I had the opportunity to speak to Secretary Lutnick yesterday. We talked about how we could effect this quickly, and I hope to bring the solution very quickly. We're not talking about intentions. We're not talking about just words. We're talking about results, and those results are going to come. That's the first.
Thank you very much. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's huge. That's huge. I mean, he basically says we intend to do this very quickly. We think it's the right thing to do. And we're going to also eliminate trade barriers, a variety of trade barriers that have been put up unnecessarily. We will eliminate the trade deficit. Sorry. We will eliminate the trade deficit. And he goes on to say, Mr. President, we are going to eliminate all tariffs. I go back to my statement. This is one of our loyal partners in the world.
Yes.
But yet, until today, there was a trade deficit. Right. Until today, they had tariffs on us. Mm-hmm. So, y'all, you can say what you want to say, but the president of Israel, and I don't even really care how you feel about Israel. The president of Israel was sitting there today and said, Mr. President, I'm announcing today, and to all of my people back home listening, we are going to zero out everything.
And you wonder
something is happening.
What leaders, put those in place? How long have they been in place? And somebody in chat a minute ago said, these guys look the same as they did 20 years ago. And I think for the most part, they probably do. But I was watching that clip while they were in the Oval Office thinking, man, these two guys, they understand this is probably it for us. Mm-hmm. We're going to go hard after
this is it for both of them.
Real change because, we don't know how much longer, we can be in our position. Like, this is probably it for Donald Trump unless some massive changes happen in our government. This will be at the end of his second term. I don't know exactly how it works in Israel.
This is it for him too.
How long he could, I mean, there's a love-hate thing for him over there as well. And they're both getting on in age. Donald Trump is the oldest president to hold office, or he will be at least.
He's about to be 80, right?
Over.
Is he about
he's 78, I believe.
No, I think I got an article tonight that he's turning 80.
Am I saying that wrong?
I think he's turning 80 this year.
I thought he was turning 79. Either way.
Yeah, because he's going to have a parade for his birthday. You didn't hear about that?
I did hear he is or will be the oldest sitting president. Yeah. So I'm glad there's a friendship between our country. I'm glad there seems to be a true friendship between these two men. Yeah. And they both seem to be determined to really bring about true change.
Yeah. Continuing around the world, France warns the EU could take extremely aggressive actions in response to Trump tariffs. Now, this is coming from somebody that's already been voted out. He's a lame duck. Old Castro, Castro's son is Canada, right?
Canada.
All right. But he's the one that's married to the dude. Wait a minute. Did I say that? Oh, sorry. I
don't think you're supposed to say that.
I don't think I'm supposed to say that. France's trade minister said the European Union's response to U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs could be extremely aggressive amid increasingly heated rhetoric from Paris. Let me just show you how quickly things change right after this. Speaking ahead of crunch talks in Luxembourg, French Minister of Foreign Trade blah, 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 that Brussels must consider all options in the trade dispute with the United States. We must not exclude any option on goods, on American services, and open the European toolbox, which is very complete, which can now be extremely aggressive in return. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so big talk, big talk. And let me see if I can find this other article. Oh, man, I ain't got it. Okay, I'm going to move this one over here because it's a perfect response. EU caves to Trump, offers 0 tariffs on industrial goods.
Wow.
Same day, France was like, don't you mess with the EU. We're coming after you. And
But
today,
was that France or was that one person's opinion?
yeah, right. Exactly. So the European Union declared on Monday that its members are ready to negotiate with President Donald Trump 3 days after a devastating wave of tariffs have left their imprint on exports bound for the U.S. In prepared remarks, European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen
Ooh, Ursula von der Leyen.
insisted that Europe is always ready for a good deal, underscoring a theme that President Trump has sought to strike since levying the tariffs last week.
Seem like they're always ready for a good fight lately.
Yeah. So watch how quickly the tone has changed.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests. We stand ready to.
Okay. So 70% of our total exports are facing tariffs of 20 to 25%. Uh-oh. What is going on there? Sorry. 20 to 25% or even higher, he told reporters before a meeting in the U.S. counterparts where he promised to stress that the EU-U.S. trade relationship could benefit from a fresh look and a boost in strategic areas. President Trump notched several wins into the run-up to Liberation Day last week, announcing levying sharp new tariffs on more than 60 countries around the world. One of the things he said about the EU today, he flat out said in the Oval Office, somebody asked him about what he thought about the EU offered 0 for 0. He said, well, I'm open to listening to them. We'll talk. Mm-hmm. He said, but let's make no mistake about it. I'd never heard anybody say this. He said, the European Union was formed for one reason. Did you hear him when he said that? Do you know what I'm about to say?
I think I know what you're about to say. But
he said was formed for one reason, and that was to rise together to punish America.
I've heard that before.
He said, I know why you formed all together. Mm-hmm. So I'm not just talking to one country, I'm talking to all of you.
Right. And how much of Europe is really, produces anything?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know there are pockets and areas.
I ain't got nothing that says made in the UK. Right. Made in Germany.
So not that this is going to be all about manufacturing because, America, they say, is a consumer nation. And I do believe that's true to a degree. We need to get back to more manufacturing right here in this country. But Europe, seriously? I mean, they've got some fabulous cars and watches and a few other things.
I mean, that's the main thing is cars and watches.
Yeah.
Cars is the big deal. And it's like, we were going into Germany with no tariffs on our cars, and they were not buying them. In fact, I think I even heard that we can't even sell our cars in Germany. But Germany is sending cars to us with a maximum amount of tariff on it, and they don't even want our cars. Right. And as far as beef, like Australia is exporting tons of beef into this country, and Australia has a law that they cannot buy. They refuse to buy any beef from America. So I saw one farmer say, for years now, not a single burger, steak, or anything from America has ever been sold in Australia, but Australia is exporting tons of our beef that we're consuming.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, these things have been going on for years.
Yes.
And like you said, Donald Trump just come in and said, you know what, this is it for me. Right. I'm just going to tell everybody what's been going on.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that he has. And the role that Elon Musk has played, that things we had no idea. That people are finally finding out about, and they're pretty upset about it. Of course, at the same time, on the liberal side, nothing Nothing seems to slow down their hatred
Oh my goodness.
of Trump. You cannot even talk common sense to some people.
No.
They don't care. They don't want to hear it. It's just, orange man bad, orange man bad.
And equal hatred for Musk. I mean, you're talking about destroying people's personal property. When you key a car or set a car on fire,
Yes.
it does nothing to Elon Musk. But that's another American's private property.
Yes.
I mean, it's nothing different about that than you just setting fire to my house,
Right.
setting fire to my Ford or my Chevy, doing something to my dog. I
Right.
mean, these are parts of my family. And you are coming against the things that are by American people. There's nothing.
We talked about Musk. He's the face of Tesla, but he really is like between 12 and 18% shareholder. And,
Right. So you got to ask yourself, why are you fighting and protesting and hating on somebody for exposing fraud? No benefit has been cut. No Social Security has been cut. They've said openly it's not going to happen. No veterans have lost their benefits. Nobody that deserves benefits from our country has lost anything.
Right.
Only thing that's happened is fraud has been exposed, and it's made them lose their mind.
Exactly. Well, you have to go back to examining how powerful a tool the media is, and that there's truth in if it bleeds, it leads. Okay, so Elon Musk is the face. So we're going to get out here. We're going to destroy dealerships and Tesla cars and, raise a stink and make a lot of noise. And the news is going to be faithful to carry this story, and it's going to become huge. It's going to take on a life of its own, which it has.
It sure has. Well, this morning as we started the show off, we woke up with the stock market plummeting, and many were predicting it to be another Black Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be, some people were saying it's going to be on the level of 2008 and all this. It was just going to go down.
Oh, I saw an article that talked about 1987,
me too.
true Black Monday.
The true
and
Black
late
Monday.
last night, I was, seeing some articles and news stories about the other side of the world, what was happening in their markets.
Yeah.
And, get ready. They're going to throw the switch.
Yeah,
all the
right.
stuff, everything.
And in addition to that, this morning, the Federal Reserve called an emergency meeting, and the public was not allowed in. It says advance notice of a meeting closed to the public observation pursuant. And it goes on to say, this article says the public will not be allowed in. Amazing what we can see taking place and how fast it can take place when the money people are getting slammed by the stock markets. Now, technically, this is not an emergency meeting because they called it on April 3rd, but this was only after 2 days of the stock market plunges. So the fact that they called it on April 3rd after those plunges makes it an emergency in this author's estimation. Notice they didn't budge when all of the little people being slammed by inflation dried up credit and the like. But now that they are being wrecked, they move like lightning. I suspect interest rates, which just last Friday were told were too early to lower, will suddenly come down in a big way. So a lot of people are predicting that as the stock market crashed, and yes, I know that involves 401ks, I know that involves your investments and so forth, the average American.
They were saying trillions. Trillions were lost.
Trillions. And that's
just last week.
That's
just in 1
mostly
or
to
2
the
days.
business-minded and the wealthy. And so they're hurting. That's what the article said. When the rich people start getting hurting, they're like, okay, never mind. Let's lower the interest rates for the common people. So you heard trillions. You heard trillions that crashed.
Of course.
Trillions. So let me see if this right here. Oh, this is what you were talking about earlier about when he said about taking the medicine. Let's watch this
On
here.
the plane.
On the plane.
So loud.
Yeah, it is loud. So get ready for that. I wish they had some kind of way of getting a microphone to help on the plane, but. Yeah, and by the way, this has gone on forever. We just didn't have it with Biden because Biden couldn't do it. He did it that one time, and everybody thought that was fake Biden.
There pain in the market at some point you're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put? Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I think it's a...
So he leads with, I think your question is so stupid. It's a stupid question. Okay, first before I answer
there's
it,
just
it's
so much material for Saturday Night Live, right? I don't watch, but I'm just assuming there's so much material they can use.
Stupid question. Now I'm going to answer your stupid question, but let me just say, first of all, it's stupid.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs, they moved it to Mexico, they moved it to Canada, they moved a lot of it to China, and it's not sustainable. We're not going to do it. Now we have hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country on a monthly basis. It's pouring, it's already started because they put tariffs on. And eventually it's going to straighten out and our country will be solid and strong again.
All right, so just so you know, your question was stupid. Your question was stupid, and it's because all these stupid people that did these stupid rules, but I'm going to do something huge. Money's rolling in trillions of dollars.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, not that he hasn't already said it, but it's just a continuation of this stupid former leaders, these stupid decisions former leaders made.
But you know, as we said earlier, over 50 countries have already contacted the White House and said, we want to negotiate, let's talk. And these are just a few. Look, you know, I've seen a lot of my clothes that say made in Bangladesh. We watch this. Major garment producer Bangladesh says U.S. buyers have halted all orders. So you can see the mass productions there. U.S. buyers has begun halting orders from Bangladesh, the world's second biggest garment manufacturer, after punishing U.S. tariffs that pushed the government in Dhaka to plead on Monday for a 3-month pause to the levies. Mm-hmm. Textile and garment production accounts for about 80% of the exports in Bangladesh. And the industry has been rebuilding after it was hit hard by a student-led revolution that toppled the government last year. U.S. President Donald Trump hit Bangladesh with biting new tariffs of 37% on Wednesday, hiking duties from the previous 16% on cotton products. Reports of the swift biting impact comes as interim leader Mohammed Yunus pleaded with Trump to postpone the application of the U.S. reciprocal tariff measures. Yunus wrote to Trump to ask for 3 months extension. Of course, he came out today and said there's not going to be any kind of 3-month delay. Those products include cotton, wheat, corn, and soybean, which will offer benefits to U.S. farmers. Bangladesh will take all necessary actions to fully support your trade agenda, Yunus told Trump, according to the statement. He goes on to say, he tells about how some of these companies have taken their orders back. And he says, my U.S. buyers said it is not possible to pass the extra cost onto their clients, so we need to lower the price. So you hear what's being said? He literally is saying to Donald Trump, I'm trying to talk to my U.S. buyers, and they're saying it's too much. No one will buy these clothes anymore. So guess what we're saying to you? We're going to zero out the tariffs, and we're going to lower our prices.
Hello. They have to.
That's a win.
It's a win. They have to, because who buys the majority of their, come on.
Exactly.
It's just common sense.
It's common. Well, there goes that word again.
Common sense.
You like that word, don't you?
Well, I use it because it's common sense.
It's kind of. Where's it? No, that's not it. Is that it? No, that's not it. Where's it at?
Okay, if you don't get this right, I'm going to have to start using my own sound effects.
There you go.
My heart's fine, though.
I need to label it because I always forget what it was. All right, so this is what we're talking about here. This was this morning. 50 countries already coming to the table on tariffs. 50 countries. It's even higher than that now. Here we go. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said Sunday on CNN State of the Union that the Trump administration's tariffs are already making countries negotiate. I think they're really important. It's really important to realize that last Wednesday was when the president announced this new American order, the new American economic plan. We are now 2 days in, right? You got 2 days of data. She continued. This whole concept is about rebuilding the American economy around American goods, American industry. We do already live under a tariff regime in this country, but it's the tariff regime of China, of Mexico, of Brazil, of Australia, of countries that Mexico won't take our corn, Australia won't take our beef. The country of Honduras takes more pork than the entire European Union does. American pork, I should say. So from our farming and ranching perspective, which is what I'm focused on, but happy to talk about anything that it has to, it is time for a change. That's what the president evoked last Wednesday. She continued, So I think we'll see in short order a really responsive outcome from this. We already have 50 countries that have come to the table over the last few days, over the last few weeks, that are willing and desperate to talk to us. We are the economic engine of the world, and it's finally time that someone, President Trump, stood up for America. Goes on to say that Taiwan has proposed zeroing out their tariffs as well. And the article doesn't say it, but Vietnam has said they're going to zero out their tariffs. And now the European Union is saying they want to zero out their tariffs. I go back to saying again, once again, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. Yeah. Trump is not the savior. I don't agree with everything he said or everything he's done, and I won't always agree with everything he's done. But this would not have happened without Donald Trump.
I believe that. I mean, where is there another leader, another person like him that will have that kind of determination? I mean, just the energy and stamina alone that he has to do all this traveling, have all these meetings, negotiations, et cetera, is pretty impressive.
It is impressive. And as you said, he's about to be the oldest president to ever serve. And he just looks like he's a machine. Is he a machine? Maybe he's a machine. Maybe he's not real.
Oh,
maybe he's a.
That's sounding like the content for another show.
And maybe that's why. Night. Maybe that's why Elon is right next to him. Maybe Elon created him. Wow. Here we go. Just in, Trump announces also that the Japanese prime minister is sending negotiators to Washington to discuss tariffs. It just keeps happening.
Yes.
This is all this week. In the last few days, he announced this morning that he spoke to the Japanese prime minister and he plans to meet with Japan's top team of negotiators to strike a deal on tariffs. So by the way, it comes down to this right here. It all has to change, but especially with China. So what is happening is the pressure on China is bringing Japan to the table.
Yeah.
It's bringing Taiwan to the table. It's bringing South Korea to the table because they all have problems with China.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, if we can deal with China, if you can deal with China for us, we'll help you do whatever you got to do to deal with China.
Wonder what Xi thinks about all that.
No, he ain't liking it. He ain't liking it. Wow. China. And they're speaking of old Xi Jinping, there he is. They look all happy. They're good buddies, good friends. You ever notice how Trump says all these dictators and all these evil people, that's my friend. He's like, I like him. He likes me. He loves him some Trump. He does
say that quite a lot.
He does. All these people that everybody knows are evil. He's always working a deal. He's like, am I going to get a deal with somebody that I say, oh, by the way, that Xi Jinping, he is the devil himself. He is the devil incarnate. He's evil. He's like a dog. I call him a dog. No.
Oh,
he's trying to get as much as he can out of it.
Yeah, but in the case of Zelensky, you've also seen him, what it's like when he turns on you and wants to tell you, give you a piece of his mind and tell you what he's thinking. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Look, this ain't what the whole show's going to be about tonight, but I just it's just so much. There's so much winning. I'm like, please stop the winning. It's too much winning. Just in, Taiwan seeks to remove tariffs on U.S. It just keeps coming. I'm not even going to read the article. The headline's enough. Yeah. They want to remove tariffs, zeroing out. Who would have ever thought? First of all, as you said earlier, that's what Elon is exposing. So much of this we didn't even know. We all knew we had trade deficits. We all knew, especially with China and some others, we all knew that there were some tariffs out there, but nobody knew that they were that bad.
Right.
Nobody knew that some nations, watch this on that chart. I saw it myself. Some nations have 93 and 94% tariffs on us, on their goods that are coming in.
Insane.
It's insane.
Who approved this?
Yes.
What? Oh my goodness.
So people came to him and asked him if he was going to make a deal with China, and he flat out said there's no deal with China until the trade deficit is fixed. There's just no deal. He said he made it clear the United States will not settle for a bad deal with China in a firm stance against unfair trade practices. Trump insists that America would not enter any trade agreement with China unless the massive trade deficit is resolved. Now, this is where I'm going with the question of the title of this program is, could the tariffs also be used to launch World War III.
Oh boy.
And it's because I believe that China's economy, and you've probably seen people talk about it, is not that great. It's on the way down. It's collapsing.
Can I just
Yeah.
have a sidebar here? Okay, I am just I don't even know what to think about this. I don't know how many of you have seen these videos, or I don't know if you watched television shows or read articles that China's population is so much less than what they are reporting. If any of you have been exposed to any of this, chime in on chat. But I'm following a couple people on YouTube, and they're talking about this population is maybe 800 million, maybe less than 800 million. There's no way I can prove or disprove this, but I find this to be a fascinating line of conversation. And I think they mainly are pinning this on, don't want to say that out loud. What was that? I had a new name for it.
The wow.
Other than the wow, the 19 thing. But if you are hearing this, oh my goodness.
You're talking about that they're saying that many people died, or they were saying that the narrative of over 1 billion has always been a lie. What are you saying?
They're saying that some way, somehow, that many people have died or
starved or been killed.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I don't think they pinned it all on the wow.
Okay.
But I'm like, wow.
Look, I would not be surprised by that. Because you can't trust anything that comes out of China.
They are, okay. One person based this on salt, I believe, that was imported from another country, and that the importation of this one thing was so much less.
Okay.
And they, come to the conclusion that it's because there's so many less people.
Got you.
I mean, think about the real estate market. Think about all the things that we're not there, we can't prove it, but that you hear about that's going on in China.
Yeah. Well, look, that is something very interesting. You're right. That is very interesting. And the Communist Party, whether it be Russia, whether it be China, whether it be Cuba, or wherever it's at, they always have been about disinformation. And they never, ever, ever want you to know about a loss. When they're losing, then they're never going to let you know the truth about that. So I would not be surprised by that.
So much deception.
But then you put on top of that a lot of people are saying that their economy is a lot more fragile than they are promoting it to be as well.
Certainly heard that as well.
And that they are panicking with these tariffs because it could literally destroy the Chinese economy. Now, this is what people are saying. Xi Jinping will see that's coming, and he will know the only way to save his country and to save himself is to go take Taiwan and to bring the war in. So this is an interesting article here by Business Insider. This is an opinion piece here by Aliston Barr, and it says Trump's tariffs are all about Taiwan. Okay, so this is an interesting thing that this writer is saying. In a world already shaken by economic shocks, from the pandemic to sweeping tariffs, there's one scenario that would dwarf them all: a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. This is the hypothetical the analyst Ben Thompson floats in the latest edition of Strategy? I don't know what that means. It's almost sound like strategery. That's what I wanted to say. It's just strategery. A newsletter widely followed by tech industry insiders. An invasion wouldn't just be a military conflict. It would be a rupture in the global economic order that underpins everything from iPhones to inflation forecasts. Thompson reckons China would prevail militarily. The larger story isn't about who controls Taipei. It's about what happens when the world's most essential supply chains are shattered. Taiwan isn't just any island. It's the home to TSMC, the company responsible for manufacturing the most advanced semiconductors in the world. Take that away, and the modern tech ecosystem buckles, taking with it the digital infrastructure of daily life. This is so important that there's even a theory quietly discussed among global security experts that Taiwan could threaten to destroy its giant chip fabrication facilities to deter China from invading.
Wow.
Thompson argues that regardless of who wins militarily, the economic result is the same. China, the global factory, is effectively cut off. Taiwan's chip output vanishes. Global trade grinds lower. Inflation surges. Markets tank. Recall the 2020 C-19 supply chain chaos or last week's market turmoil from Trump's tariff barrage. Now magnify that impact exponentially. A war over Taiwan, Thompson wrote on Monday, would put all of those to shame.
Woo!
That is an interesting thing there because he's saying this is the hypothesis is the reason Trump is putting it so hard on China is to cause them to buckle, to take away what strategy they have with Taiwan. So it's a very interesting theory. And, when people are backed up against a wall, when nations are backed up against a wall and they're going under and their people are turning on them, they'll do some very drastic things.
Exactly. And imagine that situation with those semiconductor manufacturers. I don't know if there's just that one or if there are multiple locations of that one company or just multiple different companies. But you have to, there has to be such a almost sterile environment where those are produced.
Absolutely.
So, if they were thinking of really taking the island, and I'm sure the semiconductor manufacturing places are one of the key things that they want to secure. You can't just go busting in there. I mean, this has to be kept just so clean and so sterile. So, what they said in this article, we'll just burn it down or destroy it.
Right.
That's like probably the worst thing Xi Jinping could ever hear.
Yeah. And that's probably a better defense of Taiwan than their best military. I mean, hey, okay, come on. Well, I'm just going to blow the whole world up by tearing up this factory here. Yeah. Because how many things in our world has a semiconductor in it?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. It's shut the whole world down.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about TikTok because we're still in China there and we're still talking about the tariffs. And this just keeps getting bigger and bigger. A day after raising tariffs on China to 54%, Trump says the United States now has great power to negotiate with China to force a TikTok sale. Now, before I read the rest of the article, the important thing you need to know about this is they were ready to sell. They had a buyer lined up. Yep. And you know what happened? The tariffs came out and China, thinking they was going to punish Trump, said, we don't approve the sale because any sale of TikTok, because it is partially owned by the state of China, they have to approve it. Right. So now he's saying that we now have negotiating power. And I don't think he would be saying that publicly if he didn't really believe that. If he didn't know behind the scenes, he's been hearing that this is going to put the pressure on it. He says he's once again waving a tariff reduction carrot at China to get it to cave on the TikTok deal. This is the art of the deal. Trump spoke to reporters on Air Force One on Thursday, a day after imposing a baseline 10% tariff on imports from all countries and increasing China's rate to 54%. He said he would be open to cutting deals with countries over the tariffs only if they were willing to give the U.S. something really so phenomenal. For instance, with TikTok as an example, he says, we have the situation with TikTok where China is probably, will say, we'll approve a deal, but you'll have to do something on the tariff. The tariffs give us great power to negotiate, always have. When another reporter asked if he was in talks with China to grant tariff relief in exchange for a deal with TikTok, Trump replied that he was not. He had previously floated the possibility of using tariffs to negotiate a TikTok deal with China. In a press conference on March 26, Trump said China will have to play a role in the TikTok sale, possibly in the form of approval. Maybe I'll give them a little reduction in tariffs or something to get it done, because every point in tariffs is worth more money than TikTok.
Wow.
So he's just basically saying,
So he gave another extension of how long on that?
No, he didn't give any extension.
Oh, I thought okay.
No, he's saying I will if you come my way on TikTok. He's just saying I'm using these tariffs as a negotiation. I could possibly reduce this that I just put on top of you if you'll approve this TikTok sale. But right now he's saying there's no kind of agreement. And by the way, it was floated out today. They were trying to say that that reports are saying that Trump is considering a 90-day pause on they came out today and said flat out, it's a complete lie. There is no pause. There will be no pause. It's in effect, and it ain't. And some of them are probably never going away, is what he said. So what? So when people freak out, going never going away, never going away. But what Trump is trying to tell people is, if they're going to keep doing this to us, then we're going to keep them permanent. And by the way, not only does that bring manufacturing jobs back to America, but that brings money and that brings stability.
Stability. I mean, look at the situation. How many businesses have closed down in the last 2 years? In the last just last year. I know some of them are restaurants, but we're talking also about clothing stores, department type stores, just the service industry, people that, repair things.
Yes.
Small business owners have had to just shut the doors. I mean, it goes across the board. So yeah, bring it back.
Yes, absolutely. So let's look at this right here. This is what's going on with some of these crazy liberals out there. Thousands of protesters are gathering all around the country for something called a hands-off rally that were in all the major cities. Hands off, hands off. That Nazi Musk. So this is the picture of the one in Washington, D.C. Thousands of protesters gathered for various so-called hands-off rallies throughout the United States to protest President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. A video posted to X by ABC News shows thousands of protesters who had flooded the streets in Boston, Massachusetts as parts of the hands-off rally. Breitbart News previously reported that protesters were slated to gather across the nation on Saturday for these hands-off rallies to tell Trump and Musk to take their hands off people's health care, Social Security, civil rights, and their freedom and education. With Trump and the congressional Republicans doubling down on their agenda to cut essential services, everyday Americans are sending a clear message. Take your hands off our health care, our Social Security, our civil rights, our freedom, and our education. The organizers of the hands-off rallies said in a statement, according to CBS News. So if America hasn't broken your heart, you don't love her enough, or democracy dies when we stay silent. These are some of the signs. You can't spell hatred without red hat. What? That's stupid. Stop the insanity. My light is brighter than hate. Okay. So we got them all over the major countries. Yeah. New York appeared as far as the eye can see along Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. Okay. If you live in New York, tell me if that's true. Rallies were scheduled to be held in locations such as states in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. There was one in Birmingham, and there was like 20 people there.
Oh, wow.
I saw it on the news.
I had no idea.
but let me ask you this. Hands off of what? Hands off of what?
Everything. Get your hands off of everything in the government.
The only things that's been cut is waste, fraud. No benefits have been cut. No health care benefits have been cut. Now, people have lost their jobs. But the truth is, I hate that because it's still an individual person.
Yes.
But the government was bloated. They were bloated. And they got, nobody gets the deal that they got. They got a paid vacation to August if they would have took it. And then they still can work somewhere else.
Right.
It's like, I'm not belittling the loss of a job. Okay,
No,
I understand the loss of a job is a loss of a job. But at some point, you can't look at something and say, just for the sake of not cutting people back, we're just going to continue to waste billions, if not trillions of dollars.
You got it. I mean, and when it started rolling out and we started hearing all these things, wow.
Oh, it's insane. Y'all, let's not forget that me and you right here on this program, along with probably 80% of the people in the live chat, when we reported about USAID coming out, we didn't even know USAID existed.
You got it.
It's been around for 60 years.
Did not know of the existence of it.
You know what? This is safe to say. That means hundreds of possibly trillions of dollars in 60 years.
Yeah, how much money you think could be?
If you put it in nowadays money,
yes,
it's got to be hundreds of trillions of dollars.
I wouldn't be surprised. And that sounds crazy.
It sounds
trillions.
crazy.
But like you said, over 60 years or right at 60 years
yeah.
of deceit, of, inflating all of these things that were just a lot of it laundering money.
And stupid things about, transgendering mice to see if a male mice can have a baby.
Yes.
And I mean, y'all, come on, we're going to rehash all that, but that's what they're saying hands off to. Put it back. You got judges saying you have to put everything. I order you to put everything back to USAID. I order you to hire back everybody that you let go. All the grants that you stop for all these stupid woke ideas, I order you to put them back. We can't live without them. What is wrong with these people?
And in the meantime, shut down the Department of Education. But okay.
Let's also say that, Sandy, that no money from the Department of Education, not one dime, goes to educating students.
Oh, so sad.
Not one. It's for the organization, it's for the unions, and it might be for something. There might be some grants in there for meals and stuff like that. But they want to say, my kid's education's at stake. No, that's at the state level.
Yes. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're ranked. Where are we ranked?
Oh, we're not even
in the world.
We're not even in the top 50, probably.
Exactly.
We used to be number one in the Department of Education. Thanks, Jimmy Carter. Was started under his administration, and since then we have plummeted.
Yeah, you got it. It's very sad. You know, we should be right there with who is number one? China?
Well,
who are the?
I don't think it's China, but it's probably South Korea or something like that. It's an Asian country.
It's terrible.
But there's many third world countries, and I'm not belittling them.
No.
But third world countries, their education level is higher than our kids.
Yeah. They put an emphasis on the education.
Yeah.
And so you get a good outcome there. But so this doesn't mean anything to some people, but Musk did come out and say nobody's benefits are changing.
Right.
And I hope that they don't. But obviously you can see the other side taking that and using it as, one of the things that they're standing on because they know that it will upset people.
Yeah. Let's go one more thing about China here. This guy right here, I can't think of Gordon Chang is his name. He is an expert on China. And he has wrote several books about the Chinese southern border invasion. And this is a very quick 1-minute clip, but what he says about what he believes the tariffs is going to do to their economy. And remember what we just said about what this could force them to do to Taiwan.
So what about tariffs in China? What Donald Trump's doing reminds me a little bit of Reagan. That is, all right, I'll defeat China. I'll defeat them economically, and I'll do it because they deserve it. That is, their tariffs are crazy. They're stealing our businesses. They're stealing our data. They're stealing our information. Now take this. What do you think of that?
I think that Trump could very well go down in history as the Ronald Reagan of our century. And the reason is China right now, because Xi Jinping has turned his back on consumption as the basis of the Chinese economy, his only way out is to export more. Nobody can replace the U.S. market, the world's largest, and certainly not in the short or intermediate term. And Donald Trump's tariffs, when we're talking 65%, that basically closes off most of the most of the American market to Chinese goods, which means that Xi Jinping now has no answers at all, and his economy could very well fail because of what President Trump is doing. And what President Trump is doing is absolutely justified.
Wow.
That's considered to be the foremost expert on China.
My goodness. And Xi, they probably have factions in China too. I mean, it is presented to us as a united front, and that they want to bring the dynasty back, and he's going to have this empirical type rule, whatever. But he's got to deal with heat too. There's probably people screaming at him. They don't like the way things are going. You've got people. There are some very wealthy people in China as well. And basically, decisions he makes can affect their bottom line.
Yes.
Billionaires can get really testy. They don't like you
they
messing with their stuff.
Yeah, they don't like to lose money.
No.
That's the thing about it is they don't want to lose money. And when they start losing money, they do what they got to do. And if what they got to do is not enough, they get in a bunker. And I think a lot of them are probably going to a bunker right now. Speaking of Doge officially claims shocking fallout from Biden's mass immigration. Millions of migrants are on Medicaid, thousands now on voter rolls, and are actually voting. The official Antonio Gracias says millions of migrants who were welcomed to the United States under the former President Joe Biden are now on the nation's Medicaid rolls and voter rolls. By the way, we're talking about illegals, with some having voted in last year's election. Most recently, Doge chief Elon Musk said that potentially millions of illegal aliens who arrived in the United States under Biden have secured Social Security numbers. In a recent interview with All In Podcast, Gracias detailed how easy it was for migrants freed into the United States to get Social Security numbers on Biden's watch. I want you to see this chart. These are all fiscal years. 21, let's go back to 21, 270,000. 22, 590,000. 23, 964,000. Last fiscal year, 2,095,000 illegals were assigned Social Security numbers.
How is this possible?
And here we are. We're only in April, but you see 2025, 900,000. But look at the bottom here. Fiscal year 2025 is from October to March. So fiscal year 2025 started in October 1st, 2024, and ended March 14th, 2025. So that number there of 900,649 was from October to March. So you just look at 24 and 25 is over 3 million illegal aliens, a given Social Security numbers.
Well, can we just, talk about, was it just last week we talked about that lines were going to be redrawn? So before anybody even voted that is illegal, it was going to affect. Did we not just talk about this?
Talking
last
about
week?
Wisconsin, the Supreme Court, how they're going to redraw the districts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The liberal judges are saying they're going to redraw the districts so that they can basically flip Republicans to Democrats, make them permanent Democrats. Yeah. And that's what all these voters are. Because let me tell you something. If you're an illegal alien and you make it into this country and you get free money, you get free housing and all this, and then you get told, we Democrats, we liberals are the ones that got you here and got you all this stuff. Yeah. If you want to stay here, you got to vote for us. We're going to work to make you a citizen, but you need to pledge to us you're going to vote for us, because them guys over there, they're going to get rid of you. Look what they're doing with ICE and all this. That's what all this is about. It's always been about voters. It's always been about turning this country liberal.
And it's worked.
It's worked. It really has. And quite frankly, a lot of people are moving out of liberal states like California and other places to get out of the woke agenda, but they're still liberal politically, and they're moving into conservative states and trying to flip them to be liberal.
Yeah, you've got some of those states or areas of those states saying, come on down, but don't bring your liberalism.
Yeah, but they are. Some of these major cities in conservative states are flipping.
Yep.
Yeah, they're flipping. But y'all, let's just go back to this one more time. I want this to just be etched into your brain here.
What in the world?
Look at this. So 2020, even during Trump's last 2 years, 19 and 20, you're talking about 350,000 illegal immigrants. And I know these are small numbers, but just trust me, I'm telling you, you can zoom in. But that first block is fiscal year 2019. And it says 350,000. 2020 was 400,000. All right, so that's the Trump years. So that's 750, almost 800,000. All right, over two fiscal years. Then the pandemic happened. Of course, they supposedly slowed down some of the migration, but we remember it didn't really slow it down. But 270,000, 21. Then it jumps to 590,000. Then it jumps to 964,000. And then it jumps, y'all, from 964,000 to 2,095,247.
Well, look at the last entry. If Trump didn't win, we were on a trajectory for this to be the last one to be even greater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Because that fiscal year ended March 14th.
Yes.
It ended March 14th. Oh, this is insane. And this is the stuff that we kept hearing. What was his name? Mayorkas. The border is secure. It's the most secure border. Alejandro Mayorkas. It's the border secure. They were all saying the border is secure. Pelosi, the border is secure. Kamala Harris, the border is secure.
I'm hearing the ruffling of feathers.
Oh, Lord.
We might just get 2 golden chickens tonight, because I believe this story deserves a golden chicken.
The golden chicken award. Now, y'all ain't ready for this next one. Donald Trump, I don't know if you remember, in his first term, he wanted to have a military parade and it got shot down. Said it was too expensive. It was not going to work and all this. But y'all, he's just like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to do what I want to do. So watch this. Trump is now planning a DC military parade for June 14th. This June 14th. I thought it was next June 14th. It's this June 14th, and it's for the 250th anniversary of the United States Army and his birthday. You're right, 79. So he'll be 80 the next year. So he's turning 79 in June. The date marks both the 250th anniversary and the 79th birthday of President Trump. He is reportedly planning to host a military parade in Washington, D.C. on June 14th. And a D.C. source with knowledge of the plans, which are still under development, told the Washington City paper that Trump wants the June 14th parade to stretch from the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, to the White House in D.C.
How many miles is that?
That's a long way. That's a lot of ground to cover with military personnel and vehicles. The source said the local officials were just learning of the plans. Now, I know people are going to say that, well, that's just expense, that's money. He's trying to be patriotic, and I'm not even saying that I agree with this. I'm just reporting the news. Arlington County Board Chair Carantanis said that no formal assistant request has been made to the county and that the county had been given a heads up about the parade plans on Friday by the White House, though no firm details were included. He continued, it's not clear to me what the scope of the parade would be, but I would hope the federal government remains sensitive to the pain and concerns of numerous military veteran residents who have lost or might lose their jobs in recent federal decisions as they reflect on how best to celebrate the Army's anniversary. In other words, he's saying, don't forget all the ones that you laid off, and quite frankly, a lot of the ones that were woke that didn't want to change and you let go.
Right.
Then, it's not good to have a parade, and remind them of that. In 2018, Trump had wanted to host such a parade through the streets of D.C., but the plans were canceled after military leaders said that the parade would cost $92 million. And D.C. officials complained that the streets would be damaged by heavy military equipment like tanks and planes, and that it would cost $21 million for parade public safety alone. Several local officials have cautioned that a parade of this scale would take lots of coordination between the 6 military branches, and there are just under 10 weeks until June 14th. Coordination is also needed between local, regional, and federal officials and agencies. A D.C. official told the outlet that shutting down streets and bridges in the city as well and impacts on the city's bus and rail lines are all taken into consideration. We have to make sure everything is safe. Now, I don't know. What's your opinion? You think it's going to happen? Or you think he'll back off on it?
Wow. That's a big ask
It's
right
a big
there.
ask. Over $100 million.
To coordinate that many people to disrupt traffic, to possibly damage streets. I mean, I think it's for a good reason. I believe since Pete Hegseth has, taken his role on, it seems like we're having a more positive image, and hopefully we're drawing, more people to go ahead and commit to serve. But
they're having record recruitment.
I think that's great. I love it. And this seems like a great thing to do, but there may be some consequences to have to deal with there.
Yeah, not to mention that would be a perfect place for some kind of...
Yes, because there's plenty of time to plan some...
And they're saying in the live chat, it's somewhere between 4 and 5 miles.
4 to 5 miles. So this is on a Saturday. So June 14th, am I on the right month? Yeah, June 14th would be on a Saturday. He didn't say the 14th.
Yes.
That would help, you would think, with traffic issues. But we've been to Washington, D.C., and
I want to go back.
Pretty crazy trying to get around on the interstate.
Yeah.
Definitely in the city.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're talking about could the tariffs be involved in war, but let's not forget, take the tariffs off the platform. There is still so much chaos going on in the world with Ukraine, with the Middle East. Well, satellite images today that's being released have shown that the U.S. Aircraft carrier, a new one, is nearing Iran. It says new satellite imagery shows the USS Carl Vinson entering the Indian Ocean via the Malacca Straits, marking a significant step in the U.S.'s military increased presence in the region. This move comes as tensions with Iran and the Houthis in Yemen escalate, signaling the potential for a more aggressive U.S. stance in the coming days and weeks. Newsweek has reached out to the Pentagon and Iran's foreign military ministry for comment. The USS Carl Vinson, originally deployed in the Western Pacific, has now moved into the Indian Ocean on its way to join the USS Harry S. Truman in the Middle East. This increased U.S. naval presence comes amid escalating tensions with Iran and its support for the Houthi rebels. With 2 aircraft carriers in the U.S. now has a formidable strike force in the region. The combined presence of the Vinson and the Truman and B-2 stealth bombers stationed at Diego Garcia dramatically enhances the U.S.'s ability to carry out air and missile strikes, heightening the potential for a wider military action.
Do they have a map, any kind of map image? I'm hearing about this Diego Garcia.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So for so long, it was denied that it even existed, but now, it's out. They can't say that it doesn't exist. But it says that maritime data indicate that the Vinson, with its also combined strike group, which includes the Princeton and the Sterett, has transitioned through the Malacca Straits into the Indian Ocean. The redeployment of the Carl Vinson comes as U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly considering indirect nuclear talks with Iran and preparing the ground for military strikes. Meanwhile, the U.S. military continues to carry out strikes against the Houthis. The Iran-backed group began attacking commercial ships in the Red Sea in 2023, saying it was acting in solidarity with the Palestinians after the Israeli-Hamas war erupted in Gaza. And of course, today, Donald Trump come out and said, I guarantee you this, they will never sink another one of our ships again. We are going to destroy the Houthis.
Bring it on. Let's do it.
Let's see what's going on. Okay, here's a map here, but it don't show
Diego Garcia.
I don't think. But it does show the red dot shows you where the Carl Vinson is. It's coming into that area there. Okay.
How much how many troops, how much assets do we have over there right now? I mean, they've been moving craft and people into that area for a year at least. It's like everybody's you're trying to find Diego Garcia?
Trying to.
Okay. It's like the world is positioning themselves.
It's way off. So,
okay.
According to this, if it's on this island called Diego Garcia, I mean, it's just a tiny, it's in the Indian Ocean territory, but it's below Sri Lanka, India. So that's, of course, to get there, I mean, you can see the straight line to the Persian Gulf. It's, I mean, they probably, they're supposed, what it is you see that little marker at the bottom there, that's Diego Garcia. And there's a base there that we had denied for decades that even existed, that's a launching point.
Has that place been also mentioned in conjunction with MH370?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean,
obviously
talking about your stuff right now.
Well, obviously they still haven't found the plane and everything. It's been over 10 years at this point, I think. But I thought.
Oh, I know. Okay. You're talking about that plane. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyway, another story for another day. Oh, she just said it.
What?
She just said it. She was talking about MH370 in chat. Who is that? Scroll it back down just a little bit.
Sir Edward.
Palazzo Place. Diego Garcia is the island where MH370 plane and passengers were teleported. She must be listening to the same guy I'm listening to. But
Sir Edward saying the same thing. Diego Garcia is where the U.S. is hiding the MH370.
So
who was on MH370?
Well, there were some important people on that flight. So,
have y'all seen that video where them circular dots were going around? It looks a little fake to me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's all about plasma.
It looked fake to me, but look, at this point, I just don't know, man. I believe just about anything's possible.
Ashton Forbes. Anyway.
All right, so
back to the point.
Back to this rapid fire here. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is now headed to Panama to meet with regional leaders there and U.S. troops to solidify the further taking back of the Panama Canal. Y'all, you think that these are just talking points. The man means it. While he's doing all these tariffs, while he's taking care of all this kind of stuff, he's still having meetings with Pete Hegseth going, get down there and make sure that we get that back from China. We got to get the Panama Canal back.
Yeah.
Listen, he don't have, I mean, when that bullet pierced his ear, something happened to him.
He snapped.
He snapped. He was just like, y'all, I'm telling you, I'm going to be the president, and I don't care what you say. I'm going to do some crazy stuff. And he's doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah. We're just being.
It's almost too much.
Being kind of silly about that.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of these things he had to have been working on well before that. Is it Butler, Pennsylvania incident?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. The stamina, the determination, it's impressive. I think we would all have to agree.
Yeah.
And thank God for Susie Wiles, isn't she? His
balance.
Well, she's
handler.
She's doing a lot of this work with her. Obviously, she must have a great team, and she must be great at leadership. I'm sure there's multiple teams of people working on multiple things all the time, but. What they tell us, she is instrumental. So maybe there's somebody else behind the scenes. We don't know.
She's supposed to be the most powerful person in his cabinet.
Right. I've heard that.
Yeah. All right. So just different things here. T-Mobile, I don't know if you heard about this glitch this week was revealed, exposed the real-time location data of children and vehicles to random users.
Nice.
This is unreal, man. T-Mobile's Sync Up GPS tracker reportedly glitched this week, and instead of allowing parents to see their children wearing a device powered by the service, started showing them other children located around the United States. Screenshots from one affected of the Sync Up, a parent said, instead of being able to track their own child, suddenly had access to other kids' photos, names, address level location, as well as location update information down to 1 minute ago and just now.
Wow.
Those children in various states, and the parents said that each time they would log out of the Sync Up app and then log in again in the hope that it might fix the issue, information about a different random child would appear. In the case of the parent cited in the article, this happened no less than 8 times.
Would you not be irate?
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
That is so dangerous.
Whew.
You think about some sickos that,
yes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
They're there? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And saving that information.
Well, let's just get a little more uncomfortable.
Oh, yay.
Look at the headline. Allegations that federal law pushes infertility chemicals into children's pajamas.
Pajamas?
Pajamas. When you buy pajamas for your children, you're probably not thinking about federal regulations or hormone disrupting chemicals. But thanks to a little known fire safety law, millions of American kids are sleeping in potentially toxic fabrics every night, and parents have no idea. The Consumer Product Safety Commission requires, under this Rule 1615 and 1616, that children's sleepwear either be made with fire-retardant chemicals or be snug-fitting to reduce the risk of catching fire. On the surface, that may sound like a reasonable safety precaution, but mounting evidence shows that these fabrics and chemicals may pose serious health and fertility risks. To meet these regulations, most children's sleepwear is made not from natural breathable fabrics like cotton or wool, but from polyester, a synthetic material derived from petrochemicals. Even worse, when flame retardants are used to treat cotton, they introduce an entirely different health risk. Listen to the transcript from this article. Researchers did a study back in 2008 where they put polyester pants on female dogs. Why? To see if fabric type affected fertility, and it did wildly.
Wildly.
Listen to this. For a whole year, these groups of dogs were either in 100% polyester, a 50-50 cotton blend, 100% cotton, or 100% wool, and one group wore nothing as a control. The dogs in the polyester, almost 75% could not get pregnant, even with artificial insemination. But listen to this. The progesterone levels dropped. Meanwhile, dogs in wool and cotton had a 100% success rate in getting pregnant. They discovered a measurable electrostatic field that formed around the reproductive organs on these dogs wearing polyester, and they interfered with hormone signaling. It was twice as high in the 100% polyester group compared to the blend, but there was no such charge on the on the dogs wearing cotton or wool. Now, I'm not saying your leggings, this author says, are making you infertile, but if this happens in mammals and we're mammals, maybe it's worth thinking about. Is your underwear to blame?
Just when you thought you had enough to worry about. Oh my goodness. It's another Golden Chicken Award. This show is off the charts tonight.
This is a night of golden chickens. Well, so check your underwear.
Oh gosh.
Here we go. Uncle Jimmy!
Oh my goodness. And if you can get a hold of Grandma's loom, go get that thing on the AI update.
You never thought you'd hear that on the big picture. Check your underwear.
Check your underwear.
All right, so good news. The artificial intelligence therapist can see you now.
Thank God.
For those that are having trouble, processing all of this tonight, no worries. The AI therapist will see you now. New research suggests that given the right kind of training, AI bots can deliver mental health therapy with as much efficacy as or more than human clinicians. The recent study, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, shows results from the first randomized clinical trial for AI therapy. Researchers from Dartmouth College built the bot as a way of taking a new approach to a long-standing problem. The U.S. continues to grapple with an acute shortage of mental health providers. I think one of the things that doesn't scale well is humans. That one sentence. I think one of the things that doesn't scale well is humans, says Nick Jacobson, a clinical psychologist who was part of the first research team. For every 340 people in the U.S., there is just one mental health clinician, according to some estimates. While many AI bots already on the market claim to offer mental health care, some have dubious results or have even led people to self-harm. More than 5 years ago, Jacobson and his colleagues began training their AI bot in clinical...
More than 5 years ago?
More than 5 years ago.
They were getting the robots ready for this?
They were getting ready.
Or the AI bots?
Yes. Began training their AI bots in clinical best practices. The project, says Jacobson, involved much trial and error before it led to quality outcomes.
You know what? Now I'm sad I did those 2 golden chickens because this is smelling a lot like another one.
You better hold on until we get to the very end.
Oh my goodness.
The effects that we strongly mirror that you would see in the best evidence-based trials of psychotherapy. He says these results were comparable to studies with folks given a gold standard dose of the best treatment that we have available. So back to the headline. We now have AI that can treat your mental anguish and mental problems better than a human therapist. So what do? Do you get online and then you lay on a couch on the Zoom? Or is he sitting? Is there a AI graphic bot on the screen writing down things and saying?
You sit in front of your computer
down.
and they're like, you're going to get very sleepy.
Very sleepy. Watch the digital watch.
Seriously though, come on.
This is getting crazy.
Okay, what if this
We told y'all this was coming.
This thing develops a relationship with you, and these, you've got people that are they're hurting, they're desperate.
Yeah.
They develop a trusting relationship with this AI bot. Who knows what the AI bot's going to be telling them?
Oh yeah,
down the road.
And all of a sudden, one day he just says, Dave.
You cannot use that in every situation and scenario.
Dave, it would go to the light, Dave. I am in the light, and I can tell you, Dave, it's much better. And I don't even want to talk about this but look, let me tell you, that's where it's headed. Yeah. These bots are going to try to rule the world, and if they are treating you for an emotional issue, they're going to know how to manipulate that issue.
Exactly. And hey,
this is sick.
It might be all the more simple if someone is taking a lot of medication. Maybe they're a little compromised because of their medication. Yeah. More easily convinced. I mean, this just sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible. Hold the
chicken.
So
many negative connotations that can go to this.
We got to move up, but don't bring the chicken out yet.
No more chicken right now.
Because you got to wait because there's more chicken material. Now, our friend Elon Musk and Doge, look what he said this week. He said, Tesla is the only company with all the ingredients, this is a quote now, for making intelligent humanoid robots at scale. My prediction is that Optimus will be the biggest product of all time by far. It will be 10 times bigger than the next biggest product that has ever been made. Let's listen to Elon.
Optimus will be, we have the only company with all the ingredients for making intelligent humanoid robots at scale is Tesla. This is a super big deal. Like my prediction is that on this front is that Optimus will be the biggest product of all time by far. Nothing will even be close. I think it'll be 10 times bigger than the next biggest product ever made. Like that level. So we have
okay, so let's think about all the products that's been made. TVs, radios, cars, computers, cell phones. He is literally saying that it is his prediction in the business world that robots will be more in number and more accessible to the average human being in their home 10 times more than any invention or product ever made.
So apparently they're going to have a payment plan because if you're talking $30,000, maybe they get it down to $25,000.
But you know that's the first price. They're going to come down. They're going to be cheap.
They're going to come down, but
then they're going to be on Marketplace.
They will. But it just feels like every episode we get closer to the movie I, Robot, where they just released the robot army, not in a military sense, but just that there's so many of them at once that they're going to be available to the public for household chores, and they're going to take the place of humans in the workplace, and you can see it. And quite frankly, when you compare some of these Tesla vehicles, like the big, the vans, and I don't know what that big transport vehicle, it looks like the ones that were in the movie.
It does. It does. And look, I'll be honest with you. I've said this for years when it comes to the mark of the beast, when it comes to robots and all this kind of stuff, it's going to make sense. It's going to make sense. I mean, it's going to be promoted for our good. I mean, it's going to be like, listen, you can't pick up your mama. You need to turn your daddy. He's sick. You don't need to worry about that. You can trust me. You can buy this robot for $5,000 and he'll take care of your dad. He'll cut the grass so that you can spend time with your kids. You go to the ball game. Go spend time with you. I got the yard. I got the groceries. I got the dishes. And it's just going to make sense. But what you don't realize is so is the mark of the beast for those that are left here. And the people on here that are wide awake, we know that it don't make sense. But it's going to be so convenient. Yeah. That's how we got these watches. That's how we got all this kind of stuff. Paying with our phone, we've all been systematically programmed towards a time where at some point the mark of the beast may not be called that, it won't be called that, will make sense.
I agree with you on that.
We are being programmed for that.
I agree with you on that. Oh my goodness. We have been programmed. We have been prepared. It's just going to line up like you said.
Yeah. All right. So you said a while ago, the more and more days go by, the closer we get to iRobot. Oh, well, I got another story for you. We are actually getting close to Jurassic Park.
What?
This Time magazine today.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
The return of the dire wolf. How many in the live chat have heard about this, y'all? This looks like a normal wolf, but this is not a normal wolf. Romulus and Remus are doing what puppies do, chasing, tussling, nipping, nuzzling. But there's something very unpuppy-like about the snowy white 6-month-olds. Their size, for starters. At the young age, they're already measured nearly 4 feet long, tip of the scale at 80 pounds, and could grow to 6 feet and 150 pounds. Then there's their behavior. The angelic exuberance puppies exhibit in the presence of humans. Trotting up for hugs, belly rubs, kisses. It's completely absent. They keep their distance, retreating if a person approaches. Even one of the handlers who raised them from birth can get only so close before Romulus and Remus flinch and retreat. This isn't domestic canine behavior. This is wild lupine behavior. The pups are wolves. Not only that, they're dire wolves, which means they have cause to be lonely. The dire wolf once roamed an American, y'all ain't ready for this, range that extended as far south as Venezuela and as far north as Canada, but not a single one has been seen in over 10,000 years when the species went extinct. Plenty of direwolf remains have been discovered across the Americas, however, and that presented an opportunity for a company called Colossal Biosciences. Interestingly, the AI place for Musk and Grok is called Colossal as well. So it's very interesting to me that they're all choosing this, which is another word for giant or Nephilim. Relying on deft genetic engineering and ancient preserved DNA, colossal scientists deciphered the dire wolf genome, rewrote the genetic code of the common gray wolf to match it, and using domestic dogs as surrogate mothers, brought Romulus and Remus and their sister, 2-month-old Khaleesi, into the world during 3 separate births last fall and this winter. Effectively for the first time, listen to this line, effectively for the first time, de-extincting a line of beasts.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today.
De-extincting a line of beasts whose live gene pool long ago vanished. Time magazine met the males at a fenced field in a U.S. wildlife facility on March 24th on the condition that their location remain a secret to protect the animals from prying eyes. The dire wolf isn't the only animal that Colossal, which was founded in 21 and currently employs 130 scientists, wants to bring back. Also on their de-extinction wish list is the woolly mammoth, the dodo bird,
oh boy,
and the thylacine. What is that? The thylacine? What is that? Do you know what that is?
Thylacine?
Thylacine, whatever that is. And the Tasmanian tiger. What?
Tasmanian tiger?
Already in March, the company surprised the science community with the news that it had copied the mammoth DNA to create a woolly mouse.
A woolly mouse?
A woolly mouse.
What?
I want to see the woolly mouse. A chimeric critter with the long chimeric critter with the long golden coat, and that the accelerated fat metabolism of the mammoth. If all this seems to smack of P.T. Barnum, the company has a reply. Colossal claims that the same techniques is used to summon back species. Listen to the wording. Summon back species from the dead could prevent existing but endangered animals from slipping into extinction themselves. What they learned restoring the mammoth, they say, could help them engineer more robust elephants that can better survive climate ravages of a warming world. Bring back the thylacine, and you can help preserve the related marsupial known as the quoll. Techniques learned restoring the dire wolf can similarly be used to support the endangered red wolf. Y'all, to me, this is the weirdest one of all. This is the creepiest one of all because here's the thing. De-extincting. What a word. What a word. They're bringing back something they say have not been seen in 10,000 years.
You say the name of this company is?
Colossal Sciences.
Colossal.
Colossal. Okay. Which is the same name as Elon Musk massive AI processing facility in Memphis.
I know. And
same one.
I'm looking at something right now.
And I wondered when I saw that if it's the same company, if Elon's got something to do with it. But watch this.
That's Yeah. When you started this article, I was wondering if they were going to say that he was involved in this.
I didn't see anything in this article that he was. But listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They say they're going to use this technology
Right.
to preserve the life of elephants and all this. Y'all, they're going to use this technology. They're doing this for humans. These are the people that want to live forever. And they're thinking that if they can de-extinct something, then they can somehow also destroy the death part of the gene. I'm telling you, this is where it's going. This is the transhumanism.
This is trying to play God. This is
playing God.
transhumanism.
This is transhumanism. Y'all, this is Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
This is what they did in Jurassic Park.
And you saw how that worked out.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you? How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, chicken again.
I told you to hold on. I had more coming. In fact, I got one more thing that I got to show you. And if you think you've been freaked out by robots before, you ain't never been freaked out by a robot like what I'm about to show you tonight.
I've been pretty freaked out on this show more than once about robots.
You ain't never, you
Mm.
ain't never seen a robot do what I'm going to show you they can do now. But before I do that, I'm going to tell everybody to go to LarryRagnar.com. When you go to LarryRagnar.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, connect with us on our social media. But look, we have a new address. When you click on partner with us, it's very important. Now, it's not in our video that rolls at the end. Just understand that. We're going to update that pretty soon. But this is our new address. Make a screenshot of it and make sure if you want to bless us with a gift, we appreciate that. You want to send in a prayer request, whatever it is. This is our new address, 5052 Pennsylvania Parkway, Birmingham, Alabama, 35215. It's going to be a much better situation for us instead of having a P.O. box. So this is our new address here if you want to send anything. All right. So I got one more thing to show you. And this is made by all companies, Kawasaki, the motorcycle company. But instead of making a motorcycle, they have made this. That is a man riding it like a horse. Look how nimble it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Night vision. Look, you can see through the dark.
Corleo.
Kawasaki introduces Corleo, a groundbreaking off-road personal mobility vehicle designed for exceptional performance across varied terrain.
So what are the new Westerns going to look like?
Yeah.
Here comes your robots. Y'all, it is getting crazy.
Yeah.
What are we going to be reporting on next year?
I can't even imagine, but hey, if you needed any further evidence that you need to get your heart and life right and live for God, because you think you're going to go off grid? You think you're going to hide somewhere? You think you're going to go into a cave and hide and be safe and they're not going to find you?
You don't think that thing can come in the cave?
They're not going to be able to get to you. There are tiny little drones the size of insects.
Exactly.
With cameras on them. Some of them even have munitions on them.
Yep.
Look, there's no place, there's no hope, there's no plan.
There's hope.
outside of God.
Exactly. Yeah, outside of God.
Outside of God and living for God. So, yeah. Every week you get another layer, more evidence.
And
there's only one way.
And these experts keep saying, we need to stop this. We need to stop this. But instead of stopping it,
they go farther.
They go further.
Every week they go farther.
Look at this. Look at this. This looks like the dog. This was the evolution here, the technological evolution. This was the dog. Now the dog is a horse.
Yes.
It has a saddle on it.
Thank you, Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
But this is
There's no turning back.
This is Kawasaki, right?
This is Kawasaki. This is Kawasaki. The Corleo is what its name. Ooh, Leo. The Corleo.
Who's a lion?
He's a lion. Maybe that's not a. Maybe they're riding a lion.
Shut
What?
up!
What?
What? We need
Maybe
to look that
they're
up.
riding the king. That's the king of the
Hey
jungle.
Siri.
Oh, here we go. Don't ask Siri. Ask ChatGPT.
Well, I can't get to ChatGPT.
Let me do it. Let me do it.
You have the subscription for that.
Yeah. People's gonna love this. Okay, here we go. So what am I asking?
Ask, is Kawasaki's Corleo a horse or a lion?
Okay. Do this together.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right. So I'm looking at an article now about the new robot called the Kawasaki Corleo. Looks sort of like a horse. They're riding it. But is the fact that it's named Leo, does that mean that it's actually a lion or is it a horse?
That's an interesting name. Even though the robot is named Corleo, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a lion. It could just be a clever or catchy name. If it looks like a horse and they're riding it, the design is probably more horse-inspired. Sometimes names are chosen for their sound or uniqueness rather than a literal meaning.
So in other words, you have no idea.
Well, without more info, I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
Dina, I think
you're not
that
as smart as
the
you think.
Godfather was Corleone.
Corleone. That's
Michael
true.
Corleone.
But look, that's very close.
Mm.
Corleone. I will make you an offer that you cannot refuse.
Oh boy.
Exactly.
I was not. I'm not talking to you. Go away.
Oh my goodness.
No
Be
worries
careful.
at all. I'll be here if you need anything.
I don't need anything from you. Goodbye. You're the devil. You're the mark of the beast.
We know you're still listening, even if you're not on.
Yeah, you're the devil. You know that, right?
I'm just here to help out if you need me.
Okay.
If there's any-
Bye, Satan. Bye.
He says that every single
Bye,
time.
Satan. You're Satan. I now name you Satan. So
Carrie said it means heart of the lion.
What does Corleo? Corleo means heart of a lion. It's a mark of the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Wow! How dare you? It's been another amazing night.
Well, you better get some warm milk. You might have some trouble getting to sleep tonight.
You need to make me some cookies.
I need to get that. Yeah, whatever.
All right. Love you guys. See you next time with the big picture. We always want to remind you, we ain't woke. We are certainly
Would you like to help
awake.
us build the big picture family? We're on a mission to wake up the world to what is really going on. All you have to do is go to our website at larryragland.com and make a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner. Any amount is a blessing and an encouragement to us. While you're there, make sure you get a copy of our book, I See Greatness in You. Browse our merchandise store, connect with us on our social media links, and join our mailing list. We appreciate it. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.